be in Matthew 6 today if you want to flip there in your Bibles. So I got a couple questions for you guys. Okay? We'll play a little game, all right? First one to get it wrong doesn't get to come back to church, all right? So, well, true. So, Canaan. Easy questions, all right? What's the square root of pi? I'm just joking. We're not going to have that hard of questions. Square root of pi. I don't know. All right. How about this instead? Ross, if you plant corn, what grows? Corn. All right. Hey, Gerald, if you plant tomatoes, what grows? Tomatoes. Billy, if you plant cucumbers, cucumbers grow. All right, everybody, if you plant nothing, what grows?
Nothing.
You all are not welcome back, because what grows is weeds. You don't. Oh, okay, Ross got it right. Weeds. You don't have to plant anything, and those things come up, right? I mean, our grass right now is crabgrass. You know, it's not Bermuda, it's not Kentucky 52, it's crabgrass. In our life, you can choose to plant something. You can choose to have a bountiful harvest. You can plant little seeds today that will grow into something later. Or you can choose not to grow anything. But what comes up is undesirable. Am I wrong? If it was up to me, I would just sleep until I wanted to wake up. But that's not always the best idea, because I would be fired from every job that I have, not just pastoring, but also construction. Like, we have to wake up early. And I found that, you know, if I can get up a little earlier and exercise before work, and then go to work, I'm in a better mood, I feel like I'm ready to go. And then whenever I get home, I have so much more time, because it's not like, all right, well, I want to work out now, and then that's an hour and a half or something, you know, because I'm dilly-dallying, because I got other things to do. So I've realized I had to plant the night before in order to reap the following morning. Because it's not enough for me to set my alarm at 5 a.m. How many of you have tried to set your alarms early and then just hit snooze, right? You hit snooze, you end up waking up at the same time if you would have not turned on the alarm at all. So what I have to do, my secret to getting up early, I put my phone in the hallway, outside my room. That wasn't enough. I tried that. It wasn't enough, people. I would hit snooze, right back to bed. So what I had to do is, I always drink a drink before I go work out, pre-workout drink. And it's got caffeine, it's got different things that get you ready to go. I had to put my pre-workout on the corner of the table before I get to the hallway. So that way I have to pass my pre-workout, and I like drinking caffeine, you know. So I have to say no to my caffeine, turn off my alarm, say no to my caffeine again, and then get back in bed. That's the only way I get out of bed. Early. And I've had success. I, put that powder in that water, shake it up, drink it real quick. Sometimes I hop back in bed still. But I'm so jittery that I gotta get out of bed. So what you plant matters. What you set your eye on matters. And when it comes to overcoming worry, it's more so about what you put in. Because typically, if we just do what we normally do, we're going to get what we normally get. Until I'm only 29, and I've only been 29 for like a week. So, until I was 26, if I had $1,000 to my name, boy, oh boy, I was planning a shopping spree. I knew, like, all right, well, I want these guitar pedals. I've been wanting this amp. I've been, some board games would be nice. My bank account has 1 comma and 1 number on the other side of that comma. Like, I'm not rich. And I'm thinking, what do I need to buy? Because that's the way I am. How many of you are spenders? Huh? You could raise 2 hands. Own it because you want to own everything else, right? Savers worry about money too, though, right? We're both spenders and savers. We worry about money. Because spenders worry about money after they buy something and they realize, dang it, I'm broke again. Savers, the reason why they're saving is because they're worried about money, right? And there's other things that go into this, like scarcity mindsets and whatnot, but until I was 26, the only things that were growing in my money was a desire to want more and more things. And then I found something that I wanted more than things. And she's sitting right over there. Mariah had grew up, she had bought a car, but she bought a car with cash. She went to college, but she didn't have student loans. And a lot of that had to do with the way her parents raised her, and a lot of it had to do with the way Mariah is. And I thought, I want to marry this girl. But I have student loans. And I know that money causes fights in marriages. And I didn't want to come into it. She's doing so well. And I'm like, honey, could you pay off my $26,000 in student loans for me? That was not going to happen. I'm a man and I'm one to pay it off. So here I am. And I've got like 9.5 years left of student loan payments if I would just make the payment. And I said, that's not going to happen. I'm going to start planting something so that way I can reap what I want. And I paid those loans off in 8 months, making $17 an hour. So I had $26,000 in debt. If you do the math, you take 17 times 40 times 52, 40-hour week, 52 weeks a year. That's $26,520. I was hustling, people. That is not, and you divide that by 3/4 because it took me 9 months. Math, right? Square root of pi. I wasn't worried about money in that time because I didn't have time to worry about money in that time. All I knew is I gotta make a lot of money and I gotta pay a lot off. That's it. And then I saved up for a ring, paid cash for a ring, and then we got married. And then, I paid off my student loans, and now we've got a mortgage together, and Mariah's like, I know what you're thinking, and I'm totally on board with it. Let's pay it off. And so in 3 years, Mariah and I paid off $104,000. And now we have the freedom not to worry about money. Because we're not just constantly putting out everything that comes in. But the thing is, none of that would have happened if I would have still done the same thing, right? So our first point today, totally obvious. You have to change to experience something different. Samuel Johnson said, people need to be reminded more than they need to be instructed. You guys aren't stupid. You know, we've all heard the alleged Albert Einstein quote, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. So we come to church to be reminded, more so than anything, right? To worship God, but also to be reminded of what God has said. But during our weeks, we have to do something different. Otherwise, we're just going to get the same thing over and over and over again. So change is required. So let's look at Matthew 6. Matthew 6, 22 through 24. The eye is the lamp of the body. So if your eye is healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light in you is darkness, how great the darkness! No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate one and love the other, or he will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money. And I think that must be one of Jesus' favorite things to say. You cannot serve God and money, because he says that at the end of a lot of different things throughout the Gospels. But where we fix our eye, the eye in Jewish literature is a lot like the mind. So whenever you see the heart, the eye, what they're meaning is the inner person. What's going on inside of you. And if you focus on what is good, what is light, because God is light, your whole body will be full of light. But if you focus on darkness, if you focus on worldly things, it says your whole body will be full of darkness. It's all got to do with what's right here. That's why during my sprint to pay off my loans, all I did was listen to Dave Ramsey. And if you've heard Dave Ramsey talk, I stole points 2, 3, and 4. We got 4 points today. I stole those 3 points from Dave Ramsey. But the good thing is Dave Ramsey would tell you I stole those from the Bible. So, disclaimer. If we are working towards something, if we want something, if you want to overcome worrying about money, listen to somebody who isn't worried about money. Dave Ramsey is not worried about money. He's been bankrupt twice. He is hit the lowest of lows. And if you see a picture of his house now and you know that thing's paid for, trust me, you're wanting to listen to this guy. It is like a castle in Tennessee. The Tennessee-Nashville Castle. And so what you're putting into your brain really does matter. And hearing all these we're debt free, every day, there's someone calling in or coming and visiting, saying how they got out of debt. And he's answering questions. If you're just on your phone, seeing all these pictures of beautiful vacations, and how did hubby know I always wanted a Mercedes, What are you gonna want? A beautiful vacation and a nicer car. But if you're hearing about, well, Dave, yeah, I've been driving a 1987 Honda Accord for the last 2 years now because I was paying on my car too much, and I was car broke. So I sold the car, now I got my credit cards paid for, now I got my house paid for. But what you hear is all these little changes, and sometimes big changes, that people are making. So that way, Dave says, you can have wealth and give generously in the future. Live like no one else, so you can live like no one else. That's his catchphrase. He's talking about, right now, you're not going to live like the Joneses. But one day, man, you'll be able to live like nobody else, because the Joneses don't owns nothing. So our first point today, our second point, Dave's first point, have a written plan. This is essential. So far, everything I've said in this series of worry you can apply to a lot of different things. Not just, salvation, not just, I did a worry in general sermon on faith, hope, and love, and then salvation, and now money. A lot of these things are universal. And so if you didn't get to hear the last two, look them up. They're on Facebook. Past, what did I say? Have I said future this whole time? Oh yeah, worrying about our past, worrying about our salvation. Both of those things were kind of tied in time. But yeah, worrying about our past. So a written plan. If you write something down, how much more likely are you to achieve it? I don't know the percentage, but I know behavior. If I don't have something in front of me every day, I forget about it. Like, oh man, yeah, Mariah told me to switch the laundry over. I forgot to switch the laundry over. I can remember when that happened. But writing it down cements it in our memory, and then we have to walk past it. My desk, above it is a big whiteboard, and there's a lot of empty check boxes. Because I'll write what I need to do, all the steps that are included in it, and then like every time you check it off, they say you get a little dopamine hit in your brain, which cigarettes, if you smoke, what it's doing is hardwiring your brain to release dopamine. So we get the same chemical reaction from achieving success, from achieving something, as what people do to smoke. So it's powerful to write something down and to be able to check it off. But a written plan for finances is called budget. And man, I was in college, I was still a spender, making stupid decisions. Like, oh, you'll give me an extra $1,300. But a budget, I sat down and did one. And I freaked out. I was like, it costs so much to live. My numbers, like, it's what they need to be, and I'm not making enough. So I crumpled up the budget and I threw it away and I didn't think about it, right? That's what we do whenever we don't want to deal with something, right? We just live in denial. But a budget is really freedom. Because you are no longer just spending. You are telling your money, all right, I know that my power bill is probably somewhere between $150 and $200. I'm going to put aside $200 for that. And then the bill comes, guess what? No worry, because I already got the money put aside for it. John Maxwell says, a budget is telling your money where to go, not wondering where it went. And that's where, man, I lived all but 3 years of my life wondering, where is my money going? If I didn't have a budget, I would have never got out of debt. If we didn't have a budget, we would have never got out of debt. Donnie was telling me about, he was thinking about retirement. And he added up all of his bills that come in, and he said, I'm excited for retirement. Because he saw that number and he thought, it's going to be covered. Because he planned ahead of time. Right, Doug?
Sure.
Definitely. And that is a good place to be. So, if you've never sat down and thought about what's coming up, what is my money going to do? You're just serving your money. Your money just flies away and you just wave it goodbye. So you work and you work and you work and you work because you know you need more money. And that's what Jesus is saying. You can't serve God and money at the same time. Because what happens? You think, well, I can't do what God wants because I need to make more money so that way I can afford this, so that way I can go there. And I got all this debt. I can't quit my job. You know, God might be calling you to do something crazy. Be a missionary. God, I got $30,000 in debt. I can't leave. You can't serve both. That's why our second point, third point, man. I'm used to having 3 points a Sunday. 4 is throwing me off. Our third point, avoid debt. Because I hear this, you know, have a good credit score. And guess what? You can't have a good credit score if you don't ever have debt. Because you don't have any credit history, right? But a credit score doesn't tell you you are good with money. A credit score says, this is how good of a bet you are that we're going to make money off of you. We know your credit score is off the scale, 847. I don't know what the scale is, dude. We're going to give you a low interest rate because you're a safe bet. We know we'll get all that money back. Your credit score is not so great. We're going to give you a high interest rate because high risk, high reward. Because the financial system is a business and they're wanting to make money off of you. And that's what a credit score tells them. But there are definitely other ways of living life. And like buying a house is a big expense. You don't have to have a credit score to buy a house. You can do it with cash, but that's a lot of cash to save up, right? There are other institutions that will come through and it takes a little bit more time, but they'll go through your finances and they'll check you out. And they'll say, all right, we see that you pay your bills, we see, you know, you've got savings. And that's the old-fashioned way of getting a loan. There's definitely a commercial for somebody. Churchill Financial. Churchill Financial will do that. Dave Ramsey says the only loan he's okay with, the only debt he's okay with is a mortgage payment. Because it is such a big thing. But as far as vehicles and credit cards and all these things that we think you can't live without it, you can. It's not all about looking a certain way. Because if the eye is focused on darkness, everything is darkness. And if we are only concerned about the way that we come across to other people, you'll never be able to serve God in your fullest capacity. Because you have to say things people don't like. Hopefully you can say it in a way that comes across well, because I care about you guys. I care so much. I wouldn't take the time to prepare sermons and devotions and all this other stuff if I was not genuinely concerned about the well-being of your lives and your souls. And I see how big of an idol money is and possessions are in our culture. And I live that way. But there's a better way. And if you just believe all the lies that culture says about money, then you'll get what everybody else has. You might have a nice house, you might have a nice car, you might have all the stuff in the world. Feel free to build a pyramid, if you will. Put all your stuff in your sarcophagus with you, because that's where we all end up. But if you want to stop worrying about money, there is no quick fix. It's about planting a little seed today. It's about deciding not to eat out today. It's about planting a seed tomorrow and the next day and the next day. I know that's not how gardens work. But we'll say you got to plant a seed today, you got to pull a weed tomorrow. You got to pull another weed. You got to pull, because they spring up, man. Gardens are hard work. Everybody who gardens knows right now, you spend a lot more time pulling weeds than you do planting. And there's a lot of course correction in life. Pull a weed over here, but don't get distracted. Focus on growing. Written plan helps you focus. Keeps you from drifting. Avoiding debt gets you where you want to go. There's a Proverb 22:7. I got it on the screen right here. The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is the slave of the lender. Because you can't leave. You can't go anywhere. Because there's always somebody saying, hey, it's the 14th of the month. You owe me this. You owe me this. You owe me this. But the freedom, you always got reoccurring bills, but the freedom of being able to just pick up and go wherever God calls you. There is no worry. Our fourth point today. Save and invest. Saving, I think that's pretty obvious, right? Have some emergency fund there. But investing is more complicated, right? We hear invest, stock market, Wall Street. Josh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to tell you because I'm confused by it too. But our culture expects a one-for-one trade. I give you $200, you give me this item that's worth $200, and we're good. But if we can start thinking about our time, our resources, our money, and our talent as no longer a one-for-one trade, that's a huge trade. That's a huge change in our minds. To think, if I invest 15 minutes a day into reading God's Word, the return is not God will give you 15 minutes of His time a day. The return is something will start to grow in you. Hope will start to grow in you. Faith, confidence in who God is will start to grow in you. Your life will start to have peace and joy. People will see a difference. There are days, there are bad days. But to be able to weather the storm. You know, Stephen and Ashley and Evelyn have been going through a storm lately. And it's not private, so that's why I'm sharing it. But the amount of hope and confidence that I hear when Ashley talks, she said, you know, I feel like God has put us in this situation for a reason. That things have lined up in a way for the best situation for Evelyn. And that doesn't happen because you're preoccupied. That happens whenever you are hearing God's Word, you are reading God's Word, and you have your hope built on that. Let's take a look back at Matthew 6. We're going to jump back to 19 though. Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, where thieves break in and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will also be. I'm planning for retirement. I'm putting my money where hopefully it grows. But my hope is not in a mutual fund. My hope is not in my paycheck. We never know what's going to happen. I mean, crazy stuff can happen, right? Who knows what? I've been listening to Elon Musk lately, and that guy's thinking about the future. And sometimes I get a little freaked out. But Elon Musk doesn't know what the future is. Only God does. Stock market could crash tomorrow, be down. We see TV shows where, oh my gosh, electricity is gone. And now we're back to fighting each other with clubs and trying to find ammo and Walking Dead or whatever. We never know. We could be working our lives away for something that'll be gone. That a thief could come in and steal. Do all things for the glory of God. Work hard. Do your job well. The Bible says, he who loves sleep will find himself in poverty. But if that is all you are doing, if that is all you are focused on, if you are not laying up treasures in heaven, what is the purpose of life? You are going to worry and worry and worry if all your security is here on earth. And if you don't worry, you're probably in denial. But my hope is that you can write out a plan this week. You can see where your life needs to go. You can see what needs to be done differently. And you might worry along the way, but I hope that you're working towards something greater. I wish I could hand you all $1 million and say, pay off everything. Because that's the only quick fix, right? That's the only quick fix to worrying about money. But whenever you start trusting God day by day, you will have so much more hope, so much more confidence, and much less worry. But the only way you get there is by making the first step, by letting Jesus into your life, by saying, God, I'm a sinner. I've worried my whole life, and I don't know what's going to be in the future. God, you do. God, you know my past. You knew my past before I was ever born, and you sent Jesus to die for every single sin. Lord, forgive me. I want Jesus to be my Lord. And you come up here and you tell me you want to be baptized. That is the beginning of a new life. That is the first change you have to make. You might not see dividends today. You might not see that interest check come back in today. But when you start laying up treasures in heaven, man, that's eternity. And our joy, we will all have complete joy in heaven. But God says you can store up more joy. I don't get it. You can have more reward than just being in heaven. I don't know if it's a bigger house, a flying car in heaven. I don't know what it is. But there is something so much greater than this life waiting for us. And I hope that what is in store for all of us is the reward. and not that any one of us should perish before we accept Jesus. Because there is something greater in store if you don't know Jesus, and it's punishment. But Jesus takes that punishment away if you come to him today. Why don't we all stand and I'll pray to dismiss us.